Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. My name's Eric. Today's video is going to be on smooth CSS transitions on a hover. So lots of times when we're making a website, when the user takes their mouse and hovers over an element, we want that transition to be a little bit smoother. It tends to be just a more enjoyable user experience. So here I'll show you how we can achieve that smooth hover effect. At the moment, our project, it's just an HTML and a CSS file. The HTML file, it's just one div with no content inside of the body tag. The HTML is linked to the CSS. Some basic styling here on the body and the div element just to center it and make it a little bit bigger so we can see it. And you'll see the div here has a background color of this shade of gray. So the first thing we're going to want to do is get our div, our gray square, to change when we hover over it with our cursor like this. So there are things in CSS called pseudo classes which change the state of an element. So when we hover over it, we want the background color to change. So we're going to make the background color on hover to be a little bit darker of a shade of gray. So that's all I need to do. This div : hover, change the background color when it's being hovered to a darker shade of gray, and you'll see what will happen here when I put my cursor over our div. It changes, and then when I take the cursor away, it changes again. So this is a great first step, but you'll notice on a lot of popular websites, when you hover over an element and it has an effect where the color changes or the opacity of the element changes, it isn't quite as abrupt as this, and it makes for a better user experience if it kind of transitions out or fades in, and then when you leave, it fades out. And so we can achieve that in CSS using something called a transition property. So if I apply to this div, use the property of transition, and then specify which part of the CSS I'd like to change, background color, and then I specify a time. So 0.5 seconds. So I basically am saying that I want, when this div is transition effect is applying to the background color of this div, I want that to take 0.5 seconds. And now that I have this transition property defined here, you'll notice that when I hover over our element now, it will, the background color will fade in to change from that CCC to that AAA hex code. And as I come out, it will also fade out. So that's great. A couple quick things here. It's important to put this transition property on the CSS selector itself in its regular state instead of its on hover state. If I was to change this and put this transition property on the hover state, it won't work the same. It'll only work, you see it'll transition in, but when I come out, it does not give me that effect that I'm looking for. And one more thing, I don't even need to specify this background color on this transition property because it's just a simple application. Now this transition will apply to any part of this div selector that can be transitioned. So you'll see that now just with this transition, 0.5 seconds, this will apply to any part of this CSS that can be changed. So you'll notice that as I hover in and then hover out, we're still getting that effect that we're looking for. So thank you for tuning in. I hope this transition property here can help your websites have a better user experience or help your portfolio projects have a little bit better of a user experience. And thank you. I'll see you in the next video.